Thanks for stopping by the Being Beautifully Honest podcast and channel. Thanks for being here, being subbed. If you're not, hit the button. And if you're listening on YouTube, hit the like. It's like walking in the room and hitting that light switch. Let's brighten up the place and get into the real of reality TV.
Talk to me nice, talk to me honestly. Look in my eyes, don't let it fall on me. Say you're a good guy, make me believe it. Don't wanna hear it, I wanna see it. See how rewind, when we rewind, feels so nice.
What's up, guys? So if you watched the most recent episode of the Real Housewives of Atlanta, it was multiple things happening, but the biggest thing that people are talking about is this fight that Kelli and Brit had. And I know a lot of people have their thoughts about Brit, and a lot of those thoughts I agree with. Okay? But we all know that multiple things can be true at the same time. And I'm just going to give you my reaction of what I came up with when I watched it and how I felt in the moment, not analyzing anyone else's thoughts or comments or how anyone else felt about it. I'm just going to let you know how I feel about the entire situation, not taking away from the fact that I still don't believe that Brit was a good fit for this show. And she never will be back, especially in light of this lawsuit that she filed. And we don't even know if she's going to be successful in it. But my imagination is she will definitely be getting some sort of settlement. That's my personal opinion. Because if the things in this lawsuit that she alleged are true, specifically and particularly them withholding the images that she was not able to see in real time because she left the event, and also they allow Kenya to do this, because let's be clear, not only did they allow her to do it, but they also aired it. No, they didn't show the images on the air, but they let the whole thing play out. So I would say that they do have some liability in that, whether you like her or not. So with all of that being said, I'm not going to show the screen. I'm not going to share the screen, but I'm going to share some of the audio, and I'm hoping they're not going to flag this, but I'm going to try to play some of it. Pausing it for a moment. All right, guys. So at this event that Phaedra was having, when Brit came up to Kelli, she greeted Kelli. Kelli had her meetups with the other, some of the other ladies, and she talked about how she has not heard from Brit since she came back home, since they all came back from Grenada, and how everyone knew that she was going to be having this court date for her divorce. And this woman is supposed to be her best friend. And look, I get it. If you feel like this person is your friend and they're your best friend and they didn't reach out to you as you feel that they should have reached out to you, the way to handle it is to be a freaking adult and speak to that person, to say, hey girl, is something going on? I mean, because I didn't hear from you and I really needed to hear from you during this time. It's heavy. I had my court date. Things did not go as I was hoping they would go. And I really needed a friend right now. And I don't feel like you were there for me like I was for you. I can't stand these adults doing shit like this where they're not voicing their issues or their concerns with the person, and they're vocalizing how they feel to all of the other people. And then when they're confronted by the person, then they're not just addressing the situation head on. And while be it this situation that I am talking about that is similar to this was not on the show, it's about people that used to be on the show and currently are on the show. And that I would be speaking of Portia and Nene. Now, you remember Nene recently had talked about how she feel like Portia was dirty, and behind her back, she made it, and it was an opportunity to be on the show The Upshaws, a show that was on Netflix. I think it just recently got canceled. But all in all, she said that Portia did some shady crap behind her back. And then when Nene confronted her about it, Portia was like, "Well, you weren't there for your little sis, and you know that I'm going through a divorce and this and that and the other." And then he's like, "Listen, I don't know everything that you're going through, and I did reach out to you, whatever. Like, instead of being passive aggressive behind someone's back, why don't you just let me know how you're feeling? If we are really cool like that, if we're really friends like that, if you're really like my sis, like they say." So when they first see each other at this event, and then Brit greets her, and Kelly is just cold. Yeah, that's how Kelly was really feeling. So I'm not saying Kelly has to be fake, but she could have just said, "You know what? I'm really disappointed in you because I thought that you were my girl, and I don't feel like you were there for me like I was there for you." So to do that cold stuff like that, it's just childish. So honestly, Britt was right when she was like, "You're being passive aggressive." She was not lying. So for Kelly to try to flip it to say, "I'm not passive, I'm aggressive," that's like, okay, girl. It seems like Kelly might be a little bit insecure. And I'm not even going to lie to you guys. I don't have an issue with Kelly overall. I feel like I judged her a little bit just based off of her looks before the show came on. Yeah, she is mighty loud, mighty loud, and that can be a little bit annoying. But I actually overall like her, but I didn't like this. And I'm not a big fan of Brit, but I couldn't say that Brit was wrong in how she was feeling and how she approached the situation. And I feel like Brit is one of those people where it's like, okay, if you're going to be one way with me, then immediately I'm going to snap back, and you may not like my snap back. And it's not always cool, but I feel like she is not going to be fake about the situation at that moment. I'm gonna pause it for a moment, and this may not make sense to some people, but I'm actually of the mindset where I kind of do agree with Brit. And I'm not saying that Kelly overall is jealous of Brit or was jealous of Brit, but it can happen. There are some times where people feel like, "Oh, this is my little charity case. I'm going to help them out." And when they feel like the little charity case that they're helping out is shining a little bit too much, it makes them start to feel a certain type of way. I'm telling you guys, I know this to be true. Okay. I've experienced it and I've seen it. And I definitely believe what Britt said in a previous episode when it came to the situation with the stylist and the glam squad and all that other stuff. Well, actually, Kelly was talking with Shamia about it and just saying, I lent her my glam squad, and then I found out she was reaching out to them behind my back and whatever. And it's like, I don't really know too much about all that stuff, but I'm just saying, it's like if you lent these people to her and she felt like they did good work and she's paying them for the jobs that they're doing, what is the big deal? Because there was even a little social media dust up recently when it came to Kelly, I think her former stylist, because I don't think that person's working with her anymore. But that person came out and said, "Well, Brit, I have no issue with her. Brit actually pays her people, and she doesn't waste any time when it comes to that Apple Pay. It hits on time before you even walk out the front door." So I cannot take that away from her. I know the jokes about her marriage, the lavender marriage, and is it really real and all the other stuff. And I question some of that stuff too. But it doesn't mean that in this moment she was wrong. So, Brit may have been a little bit like, wow, bam, when it came to some of the stuff when she started talking about her being jealous about the glam squad situation and her needing a little sidekick all the time and stuff like that. But then Kelly was the one that actually took it there with the aggression when she actually did say out of her own mouth, "I'm not passive, I'm aggressive." So she comes out of her mouth to call Brit a whore. And it's like, if that's your best friend, then why are you going completely there? So if Kelly went there first when it came to going to hell and Brit decided to join her, even though Brit may not be a lot of people's fave and they feel like she got Kenya kicked off the show or whatever, it doesn't mean that in this situation she's wrong. So Kelly said, you better go talk to your pimp because you're a whore. And we know Angela Oakley made the joke at Cynthia's Juneteenth house party when she was talking about Brit saying, you got stretch marks around your mouth. You're a whore. So it's like now you had a falling out with Brit and you're going to use the same words that Angela used against Brit when at the Juneteenth party, you were tag teaming Angela with Brit when it came to the insults about her marriage. So to me, that makes Kelly look fake. And it's like, who's the roommate she's calling a pill popper? So is she insinuating that it's her husband, Brit's husband, that she's talking about? And that's what I feel like Brit did. So again, hater, lover, be indifferent. She don't need to be on the show. She should have been on Love and Hip Hop if she's on anything on TV. Okay, I get all of that. But I'm saying I feel like Brit didn't really, I won't say she didn't tell any lies because I don't know anything about Kelly's personal business. But when it came to what she said about how you bring it to me is how I'm going to respond to you, that's pretty much how it was. And I know some people feel that with the Kenya situation, it was overboard. And yeah, a lot of it was. A lot of it was. But also, this ain't about Kenya. This is about Kelly and Brit. Now, see, I don't know nothing about all that either. But like I said, I feel like Kelly is the one that took it there first when she just went straight for the jugular to call her a whore. And, you know, you need to go talk to your pimp. So Brit coming back with something about her terminating pregnancies while she was married. I don't know anything about any of that stuff. But if they were close like that, apparently they know some information about each other that others don't know. So again, Kelly's like, you can't even have a kid. You want to be me. So all of the things that they're saying, it's like y'all were never tight like that. Y'all ain't really friends because to go there with all of these low blows just like that at an event because Britt did not check on you after you all came back from Grenada. Kelly was already feeling some type of way over in Grenada, and I do feel that Kelly was being flip floppy. I do feel that way because she was, I don't know, I feel like she feels that Shamia is a more beneficial friend to her than Britt was. And so she started to use some things that other people were saying about Britt, possibly behind the scenes, and started to use that to flip the script on Britt a little bit. I promise you, I was not trying to rhyme, but I'm just saying, I am not really here for it. For Kelly, especially in this situation. So, in light of the things that have come out now about the fallout and Britt not coming to the reunion, and I don't know who it was, TMZ or somebody asked Kelly what she thought about her suing the network and saying it sounds like somebody needs money and all this other. It's just not cool because it's like if that was your friend at any point in time, then some of the things just should not have been said. Again, she responded to her. She called her a whore and said she needed to talk to her pimp. Kelly said those things first. Again, I'm not saying that two wrongs make a right, but I'm saying you can't get upset with somebody who responded to a wrong with another wrong. So yeah, it was definitely a hellish situation, guys. I don't know what you guys think, but to me, if I ain't on anybody's team, but if I'm going to be on the side of right, I'm going to say that I understood where Brit was coming from in that moment when it comes to that whole situation. So yeah, honestly, the whole thing is weird to me, and then to learn that the team is now, or at least during that time after, is helping Shamia. It does make Kelly look like a flip flopper. It makes her look like, oh, you're just in it for the convenience. You're not like a true blue friend. And so maybe that is one of the reasons why Britt decided to not show up to the reunion, because she just wasn't really feeling like she had any allies. You know, if we can kind of think about Married to Medicine and Letitia Lunsford, who is no longer on Married to Medicine, and how she really didn't have hardly anyone as an ally except for a friend of, which was Contessa. And I haven't, seen anyone really, besides the immediate moments where Kelly was like, oh, everybody was a hoe in their day at one point in time, which that's not true, because everybody ain't been a hoe. Girl, speak for yourself. But I'm saying prior to the falling out, and then after the falling out, Cynthia was like really the only one, and she's a friend of, that was going to bat for Britt to say, look, y'all weren't the one that had a poster board blasted of you with a DICK in your mouth. So I don't really know how, much strength it is to be on a show, come to a reunion, and you really don't have anyone on your team except someone who is a friend of on the show. And there's only so much that they are allowed to say in the first place. So when you saw Letitia or Sweet Tea on Married to Medicine and how they brutalized her on that reunion, I'm not saying that some of it may not be deserved if Brit showed up, but all of this heat that Letitia got coming to that reunion, she didn't have anybody. I wouldn't want to see anybody like that, honestly. I never felt comfortable when I didn't feel that years ago Kenya didn't really have any allies on the reunion, and she was showing up consistently and continuously, and she was usually the villain at all times and didn't really have any allies for years. I don't really like to see that for anybody. But I digress. I want to know what you guys think about this falling out with Kelly and Brit, the explosive cat fight. Brit calling Kelly a little hobbit, Kelly calling Brit a hole with a pimp. It was a lot. But my facial expressions and how I just initially saw this, I really was cringing when I was hearing what Kelly was saying, because I just really felt like, wow, all of this because she didn't reach out to you and because she reached out to your glam team. It seems petty. And then maybe she was going through stuff too. I'm just saying, I think as adults, people have to realize that because you didn't hear from someone and you were going through stuff, we always have to sit back and consider, because life is quick, stuff happens. And if you don't hear from these people, it's possible that they were going through their own stuff too. So anyway, guys, you let me know your thoughts in the comments.
Thanks for being here, liking, and subscribing. I'm Beth, just being beautifully honest. So until next time, I wanted to keep it brief, beautiful, and now I'm going to say bye.